Welcome back, everybody. Derrick Soo, your 2022 write-in Oakland mayoral candidate. Today I want to talk about something that's really in the news, and it started out about 3 weeks ago when an Alameda County Deputy Sheriff that was off duty shot and murdered 2 people in Dublin, California. And it was a love triangle, and so he ended up killing the female who was worked at a mental institution, a local mental health care institution, and he met her there as an Alameda County deputy sheriff, because in some of those facilities there are dangerous people, and they keep sheriff's deputies in certain areas of protection. And so anyway, and now it's come to light that 47 Alameda County Deputy Sheriff's Office officers have now been relieved of their weapons and duty. And that was the responsibility of the elected sheriff that oversees everything, and that's Greg Aherns. And Greg's been in charge of Santa Rita and also Alameda County Sheriff's Office for a number of years. There are some things that I agree with, but a lot that I don't. And there's been a lot of controversy around his leadership. We had a big infection of COVID, then there was overpopulation, then there were sewer backups that were occurring, and for a short period when I was incarcerated back in 2019, there literally was a sewage backup in the cell area that I was in, and so we were forced into another area outside, and while they dealt with the flooding issue with the sewage. And so anyway, a lot of people, or a lot of police agencies or law enforcement agencies, are asking why. We don't understand why it's going on, what's happening, because there's a bad group that has gotten in and infiltrated law enforcement. And so these are literally what I call them thugs with badges. And these are authorized thugs of the county, and they bully people. We even have that in the fire department. We had right here out of East Oakland just a few months ago, there was a fighter that worked in the city of San Francisco for San Francisco Fire Department, and he threatened people, or threatened his business partner with a gun, and so he was arrested. His gun was confiscated. Oakland has a very serious gun problem. That's because of the lax 2A gun rights here in the Constitution. There are elements that I agree with, and then there are elements that should be added in, like background checks. As all of you know, or most of you know, I am a concealed carry weapons permit carrier, and so every 4th year I have to go in for a background check and a mental evaluation to verify nothing's changed. If there's anything that was questionable that came up in my DOJ file, and the DOJ file covers all the United States, not just California. So anywhere in the United States or United States territories, it would show up on your DOJ file, and that's a federal file, because the background check is done through the FBI office, a local FBI office. And so And then once all of that is completed, then you come in for a mental evaluation and appraisal of your situation and what's going on in your life. And so, you know, they know what I've been up to, and the government renews my CCW, my FFL CCW, in a timely fashion. My record stays clean, I don't cause any problems, and I work with several investigations for the county and for federal. And so those came up also. So those automatically got my license for carry renewed in a timely fashion. And so because I work with law enforcement in a cooperative manner, and so it's been very helpful doing that. And so there's a definite need there, plus the background with what I did for the government. They just want to make sure I'm not a ticking time bomb waiting to go off somewhere. And so these are why I endorse and I support background checks and mental evaluation for anyone possessing a gun or wishing to possess a gun outside the home. If you, in other words, you're applying for a CCW, concealed carry weapons permit or license, and you have to pass a background check, and it's renewable, and that renewal period can be very flexible, depending on how bad the crime is going on in that location where the CCW is requested and applied for. It could be as often as every year or every other year. Mine is every 4th year because I have to have it done by the 5th. If I don't have it completed by the 5th, every 5th maximum is the length of the period. I lose my carry license, and I'm not going to do that. And so I've had it since 1990, and I enjoy the privileges that come with that, but also there's a lot of dangers too. So don't get me wrong; it's not all roses. There's a very high degree of responsibility and discernment when you are authorized for carry. So there's a lot to go in with that. Also, you have to constantly check your ego, making sure that you're not causing or one of the causes for an escalation where an encounter might turn to a deadly action. So we always try to avoid that. I came up through a different system. I came in through the Department of Defense, which sent me through the different programs that they had, so that I knew all the legalities. My shooting met one of the highest qualifications here in the United States, and I knew what I was doing. And so there was a lot of stuff going on during my first 4 years with the new contracts and the work that I was doing for our government. And it was an interesting time, but it took a high level of integrity and being 100% honest, even knowing that it could have detrimental consequences if you told something that they didn't know or that they did know and you just expounded upon it. So there are a lot of things, and there's ways that they can justify it, because sometimes it's a test to see how honest you are, and they'll throw that in there. And I've had that a couple of times, which didn't surprise me, and because I was 100% transparent, which is what law enforcement needs, and we're honestly lacking here in the streets. I can't think of an officer that now is on patrol in my area that I've known for a couple years. I don't know of any officers, because we've had officers leave Oakland Police Department. We're currently 100 officers down. We're supposed to have slightly north of 700 officers, but the actual need is closer towards 800. And there's no way that we can have that many officers, it appears. Budgetary constraints, but there are ways around that, and also having officers live within the community, which is what Oakland truly lacks. We don't have officers of integrity that live in our community. Typically, over 80% of the Oakland Police Department lives outside of Oakland. And a lot of my friends who are retired Oakland police officers from the past, they live in Sonoma County, they live up in Sacramento, they live at least an hour away from their post. And so that creates a very serious problem, because they're not also citizens or residents of our city of Oakland. We don't have the added feature of those officers off duty with their carry and able to step in on a crime in progress. And so these are things that we have to look at and address. But first of all, what we need to do is rid the departments of the bad apples, like we've just seen with Alameda County Deputy Sheriff's Office here for Alameda County. 47 officers were relieved of their guns, badges, and of duty. And so that puts a very big hurt on Alameda County, because Oakland being down a number of police officers also, namely at least 100 at this time. We were dependent upon Alameda County Deputy Sheriff's Office in the evenings to be helping and assisting with the patrols and stuff, because I've met several of the deputy sheriffs from Alameda County coming through here through just their drive-bys and checking on the homeless camps, looking for stolen cars that tend to be all over this particular neighborhood. We've stopped that from happening here at this camp now, and so it's been taken to the side streets and other streets here in East Oakland, and so they're dealing with that right now. And that's Alameda County Sheriff's Department, not Oakland Police Department, because there's such a shortage of officers, especially at the graveyard shift, that we're having to bring in Alameda County Sheriff's Department and also California CHP, which patrol certain streets here in Oakland, namely here by the Coliseum, 880, San Leandro Street, International Boulevard, formerly East 14th, which is a state highway or a state right-of-way. And these are streets that they patrol in addition with Oakland Police Department. And so all the law enforcement agencies are having issues with finding qualified candidates and also qualified candidates that pass the mental evaluation, which is one of the most important parts, because if you're going to put a gun in a person's hand and a badge of authority in their hand, they need to have the right mental frame of mind and an attitude where they're not going in to harass people or threaten people, and so they're there to investigate a call and try and resolve the issues. So thanks for joining me today, and we'll be right back.